for now, but the rapid emergence of low-priced EVs from China could shake up the global auto industry in ways not seen since Japanese makers arrived during the oil crisis of the 1970s.
Here's the Beaver County forecast.
A bit chilly this morning with increasing clouds throughout the day. Temperatures will be much warmer though, with a high near 79. Mostly cloudy tonight, will drop down to a low of 59. Showers and thunderstorms expected off and on tomorrow. We'll see a high of 72. Mostly cloudy on Wednesday with a chance of showers and thunderstorms through the early part of the day. Expect temperatures in the low 70s and lots of sunshine in the forecast for Thursday. A high of 77 is expected. I'm Lisa Marie with your Beaver County weather.
On this Monday, May the 13th of 2024, at 10 minutes past 9, we've got a temperature of 57 degrees with cloudy skies in Beaver County. That's a look at the news for now. I'm Curtis Walsh on 99.3 FM and AM 1230 WBVP, also streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
Now, it's time to talk on Teleforum on Beaver County Radio. 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, 99.3 FM, and beavercountyradio.com. And now, here is the host of the show, Eddie Crow.
This weekend reminded me of why I enjoy when weekends like this go away. The rain and it was kind of cold, and today it's going to be beautiful, and that means car cruise season. And I love it because I'm a geek like that, and I got a couple people that love it way more than me. It is Teleforum. It is 11 minutes after 9. I am Eddie Crow in the studio with me from the Beaver County Car Cruise. Beaver Falls Car Cruise. You know I'm going to do that more than once, right, Mark?
Well, we like to think of it as the county's car cruise.
The county's car. It's the Beaver Falls Car Cruise in the studio with me, Mark Peterson and Sam Florida, and we're going to talk about the car cruise because that's way more uplifting than talking about politics. So I appreciate you giving me an hour to dodge it coming in. How many years, Mark, have you been involved in this?
Well, I've been involved either as a sponsor or a worker with the radio station, or and we thank you for your support, by the way, every year since 1991. But I joined the committee in 2016. Sam, I think, has been there
long time.
Long time, yeah.
Yeah, can you guys tell who's got the seniority by what shirt they're wearing? Because I know that is not it's a fairly new shirt that Sam's rocking.
Sam automatically has the authority. He's more the, he much more experienced in cars and car cruises than myself.
What got you into it, Sam?
Well, first of all, I want to thank Beaver County Radio for having us here today to discuss the car cruise. And what got me involved is Steve Peterson from Ron Lewis came into...
No, Steve.
Came into our car club and asked for volunteers to help because the Happy Days guys were getting out of it, and he didn't want it to go away, so he asked for volunteers, and I volunteered. I think that was 2017.
Did you know what you were volunteering for when you volunteered for it?
Yeah, I'm pretty aware of what I get myself involved with because I try to put both feet in, you know?
Yeah.
Don't get too many sticks in the fire. When I build a fire, it's a good one.
Well, was this something you had a background in? Were you doing car cruises, or you I'm assuming lifelong car guy?
Well, yeah, loved cars my whole life. You know, obviously when you're 16, you get into cars and always had cars and involved in the club so much, but not in the cruises.
He's humble. Let me tell you, Sam has two of the prettiest Cadillacs you'll ever have seen, and I believe one is a 1971, a baby blue Eldorado convertible, and he has a 1973, same model, the Eldorado, but it's red. And he alternates them. Sometimes he brings them both. I'm not sure how he does that, but his love of cars, his knowledge of cars is outstanding.
Why Cadillac, Sam? Every car guy seems to have that one. You got two. Why Cadillac?
Well, actually, I always had Chevrolets. My dad had Chevrolets, and currently I have a bunch of different models, Fords, Mopar, Dodge. The question is Cadillacs. I had a gun shop in Beaver County for 15 years, and a friend of mine was living in Phoenix, and I phoned him up. I says, find me an Eldorado convertible. I wanted a big Cadillac convertible because I had a young family, and you couldn't put them in a sports car.
True.
So I wanted a big convertible. And after 2009, they crushed all those big tank cars, and I just grew up with them, and I wanted to preserve one or two of them, and that's what I got into. I went from the muscle cars into the big convertibles.
Is there a typical car cruise person? Or has everybody got their own thing going? The cars is the unifying factor, but does everybody have their own little thing? You just said you were a Chevrolet guy.
Yeah.
How carved in stone is that coming up for guys?
It's usually Ford guys, Chevy guys, Mopar guys.
Okay.
And mostly muscle cars. And there's a bunch of rat rod guys now. That's kind of new.
All right, what's a rat rod?
Rat rod is like a half painted, half primer, junker type vehicle.
Well, it used to be called a piece of crap.
Well, not exactly. These guys put a lot of money into engines and transmissions. I mean, these things will get down the road and they're safe. They don't look really that safe, but they're safe. They got modern brakes and modern power plants in them. And that's something fairly new, the rat rods.
Is that similar, what's the term, retro rod, where it looks like an old beater, but underneath it's dialed down, it's got everything new and upgraded? Is that the same thing?
Well, no, it's actually the opposite. They take an old body and make it like new, and then they put a modern drivetrain, modern disc brakes, modern automatic transmissions, most of them, they can be manuals. And modern drivetrains in an old car, that's a resto rod as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
You know, but they put a lot of money in the exterior of those cars as far as fit and finish, where the rat rods, the money's all in making them go fast. It's not making them to look fancy.
Sam Florida and Mark Peterson are my guests. We're talking about the Beaver Falls Car Cruise. When is it? I should have probably asked you that.
June 8th.
June 8th. How many months go into this? I know, Mark, you've been involved with it a long time, and it's not a week before let's get our stuff and head down there.
We actually started in January. We have a monthly meeting, and we do it in about half a year.
What gets sorted out differently from one year to the next?
We like to field input, and we do get plenty of input from various sources, and we try to tweak and change things as need be. People like to share opinions, and we do a little bit of tweaking. But after this many years and this many cruises, we do kind of have it down to a science, based on what seems to work well. We may have had an idea, I know this is hard to believe, Eddie, that didn't fly real well. And we try to eliminate those things.
Well, that's live and learn, isn't it?
Yeah, oh, sure, yeah.
Talk about this year. Is there anything new for this year, or is it going to be the classic? Because either way, it's brilliant.
Well, back to what you asked, Mark, first of all, I think the biggest asset we have are the mainstayers in the committee, especially Paula Dorish and her husband, Frank. Paula's been with Beaver Falls for years, and if she retires, it's going to be a big loss to this committee, because she coordinates everything with the police department and the fire department and the logistics of getting the road closed. And we got fellows like Mark here that has stayed with us. If it wasn't for mainly 4 or 5 of these old timers, so to speak, I don't know if this could happen. Things change. We've lost committee members. We've gained committee members, young and old. Prices have changed. I won't give you the numbers, but the numbers to hire people to direct traffic, what it's cost since COVID, everyone knows at home how things have went up. And it takes a lot of money to do things, and people need to realize that if it wasn't for the sponsors in Beaver Falls, mainly the business along 7th Avenue, this cruise would not happen.
Are there young people coming in to the point where you feel comfortable for its future?
No, I'd like to see more young people get involved, and personally, and please, anyone at the cruise that would like to get involved in future years, please approach a committee member, and we'll get your name and number, and we'll let you know.
Mark, I want to ask you this. Why are you still involved? I know we've known each other a long time. You've done this a lot of years.
Oh, I've had I've always had a love for cars. I've had toy cars and hot rod cars and classic cars most of my whole life, and so that was a natural thing. And probably back at the beginning, when I was with the radio stations, it was more of this was an opportunity to promote what we did, sell some advertising, and so I got involved on that end of it.
And we were right in the middle of it on 7.
Oh, sure, yeah. So it was a lot of the things, that being what I did for a living, my interest in hot rods and cars, and all wrapped up into one, and so you asked what's going on this year?
Yeah.
Get this, Eddie. I don't know what kind of food you like. If I recall, you like a lot of it. Free. That's right.
Free.
Well, I'm not sure.
I'm
not sure how much free food there is now,
I'll pay.
But get this: 20 vendors so far up and down 7th Avenue, including I think 3 new ones this year.
That's every street corner
It
plus.
is. It's just about.
Yeah.
We are just about sold out. I don't have much room for anything else, and I think the cuisine ranges from brisket and pizza to gyros, French fries and homemade ice cream, fried dough, chicken on a stick, Cuban sandwiches. Ooh, I mean, it goes on and on and on. And here's another fun statistic, Eddie.
Okay.
We did a survey. I'm trying to think, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, so it's not super current. But we surveyed, I'm going to say, maybe 100 people and had them fill out these forms. We discovered that only about a fifth or 20% of the people wandering around were car owners. So the vast majority of the people you see at a car cruise, like ours, are spectators or attendees, people that are coming in for the event. And that was kind of, we didn't realize that number was that high. So if you have 3,000 cars.
What was the assumption? Everybody here is here with a car?
Yeah, I guess.
Or more than 20%?
Yeah.
Okay. So those people, now, all right, Sam, be honest. A little kid's walking down the street eating chicken on a stick. He's covered ear to ear with grease and everything else. How twitchy do you get when he walks by one of your Cadillacs?
I'm not really that bad, but I can see fellas that have extreme money in these cars being touchy, and it goes back to the parenting too. Things happen. I mean, a little bit of touch on a car is not going to hurt it, and I think most of the people realize that. And it depends on the age of the child too. I mean, you get away with a lot when you're really young, don't you?
Once you're old enough to know better, the rules are different.
Yeah.
I think the concept of a car cruise in general is by its very nature is more open, or it's more expected that it is not a safe and controlled environment like you would see at a car show.
Right.
And then the two things are considerably different. A car cruise it's open to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
People do mill around and walk around, and the cars drive around, and it's more like taking your car out on the open streets. Whereas car show is usually a roped off area.
Yeah.
It's
not attended by 3-year-olds with their face full of cotton candy.
Car cruise is open to everybody. Earlier on, you mentioned what are the groups of people that come to the car cruise, and Sam talked about the different types of cars and the newer interest in rat rods, and I think that there are maybe a couple, 2 or 3 distinctly different, to use a big radio word, demographics.
Oh.
Yeah, well.
Wait a minute, I got to remember what that means. Target audience
That
stuff.
might have used all the brain cells for today, but so I think you have that core group of probably older folks that were like the heritage cruisers that had
remember that 57 when it came
they
out.
have a 57
Right.
Chevy Bel Air. They have a 1930 Ford Roadster. They have a 1940 Plymouth. They have all these other things. They're the classic, very valuable car show type car, and most of the time, though, these gentlemen and sometimes husband and wife, they're probably older, probably because they're the one they would in order to be familiar with those cars, they would be of that age, and also they usually command a higher dollar. Next, there's a group of people more about my age, 50s and 60s, that when we went to high school, everybody had a Chevelle or a Camaro or a GTO.
Torino?
Ford Torino, very good.
Yeah. I got arrested in the Torino once. That's why it's stuck in my head.
And these were and a Mustang.
Yeah.
And, and then, of course, the really cool kids had Chargers and Challengers.
Oh, yeah.
We know that.
Yeah.
But, so there's that group of people that have those 60s and early 70s muscle cars. And then there's a whole new gang of people, for lack of a better word, and the car manufacturers have done a fantastic job of courting and raising the interest of a newer audience with the Camaro, the new Chevy Camaro, the new Ford Mustang, and then Dodge makes the Challenger and the Charger.
The new Vet is stunning.
And the new Vet, yeah. So there are a lot of younger people at the cruise. Sam's correct that we'd like to get some of those younger folks involved with our committee, but you'll see people of all ages. There's probably a couple of other subsets amongst those, but that's kind of your big three of who comes.
It is Teleforum. We're talking about the Beaver Falls car cruise. This conversation, I'm going to pick your brains about the automotive industry. I got experts here. Sam Florida is here. Mark Peterson is here. News is next on Teleforum.
Your home for everything in Beaver County. 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP, coming to you live from the all-new Fry Transportation Studios.
Beaver County Radio and the Pennsylvania Hot Rod Company, along with A.K. Nahhouse, are teaming up to present Cruisin' on the Ridge, a series of car cruises happening the third Saturday of every month this summer from noon to 4 p.m. at the Beaver County Radio Studios. First cruise, May 18th at the studio location. It's 4301 Dutch Ridge Road, Brighton Township. Beaver County Radio Solid Gold Saturday host J.D. Merkel will be spinning tunes in the parking lot, food trucks, prize giveaways, raffles, and a 50-50 drawing. Cruisin' the Ridge is being brought to you by Falcone's Moon Township Ford, eXp Realty, the Beaver County Transit Authority, Shop and Save Beer and Wine, the Rochester True Value Hardware Store, Friendly Federal Credit Union, Patriot Home Care, Fry Transportation, J. Young Refuse, A.K. Nahhouse Furniture and Appliance, the Pennsylvania Hot Rod Company, and Beaver County Radio.
The news is big from Friendly Federal Credit Union, and there are several stories to get out. So, with no further delay, let's get to our experts at the teller window. First, Karen Latshaw, what do you have for us?
Backed by popular demand, the annual Friendly Federal Credit Union luncheon meeting is happening August 24th at the Fez in Hopewell Township. Tickets are on sale now.
That's good news for sure. Now let's go to Katie Mahalik for news about the scholarship program.
I am pleased to report that applications for the Carl D. Ross and Anthony S. Payne scholarships are being accepted through June 30th.
From the manager's desk, this has been Cindy Hiladio. Thank you for listening. For more news, click friendlyfcu.org, member NCUA Equal Housing Lender.
Friendly Federal Credit Union, you got a friend.
Hi, folks. I'm with our good friend John Diagardi from Roe Monument. John, you were telling me earlier that people really should not rush into choosing a memorial for their loved one. Now, why is that?
We found that families need to take ample time to grieve first. Grief is not something that we get over, but rather something that we learn to live with. So the length of time to grieve varies from person to person.
You mentioned that the monument can't be placed right away.
That's right. There are certain things that need to take place before a monument can be installed. So it's really worth taking time to think about how to plan and design a memorial that truly reflects a person's life. It's actually a healing activity that helps to alleviate grief.
John, this makes a lot of sense.
It does. And when the time is right to proceed, not only can Roe Monument help families choose and design their memorial, we can help them save as much as 50% by eliminating the middleman.
Thank you, John. Folks, you can learn more simply by visiting RoeMonuments.com.
The Rochester True Value, located inside the Shop and Save on the Ohio River Boulevard, is proudly serving the community. The Rochester True Value is independently owned and operated and has experienced workers who can help you with your home projects. The Rochester True Value has tools, products, and all the equipment needed for you to get the job done. The Rochester True Value inside the Shop and Save is open and ready to help with your home improvements. That's the Rochester True Value in Shop and Save on the Ohio River Boulevard.
Beaver County Radio's news source, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com. Here's Curtis Walsh.
Good Monday morning. We can expect a high of about 80 degrees today with partly sunny skies. We'll have a complete Beaver County radio weather forecast after this look at news. Students at the Midland Innovation and Technology Charter School held a peaceful protest in the form of a walkout last week. The Beaver County Times reports that on May 8th, students walked out of the building during their lunch break to support their former principal, David Krakoff, and to protest the suspension of 10 students after an incident involving an in-class assignment earlier in the week. According to students and parents, the suspension of the students started about 2 hours after Krakoff's sudden removal, and parents were not given any information by Wednesday afternoon. On May 10th, a statement was posted to the charter school's website that cited a personnel issue with Krakoff, which allegedly could not be shared for the sake of privacy. The administrators also publicly denied the targeting of the students suspended. The previous Board of Trustees meeting minutes did not list an inclination to remove Krakoff, but parents say that the issue will be discussed during the board's next meeting. As it is a personnel issue, the school board may also decide to discuss the removal of Krakoff in an executive session. Multiple bear sightings have been reported in the area. Neighbors of Brighton Township have been sharing Ring doorbell footage of a black bear strolling through their yards. All of the reported sightings were around the same area and appeared to be the same bear. High school junior girls from across the county will join in Rochester for the Distinguished Young Women of Beaver County program to be held on Saturday, May 18th at the Sandy Regal Theater in Rochester. Participants will compete for cash and in-kind college scholarships and the opportunity to represent the state as the Distinguished Young Woman of Pennsylvania for 2025. This year, the program will be celebrating Amarson Anderson of Beaver Falls, who goes to Blackhawk, Aubrey Bowman of Beaver Falls, also a Blackhawk student, Emily Cochran of Beaver Falls and Blackhawk, and Danica Pertell of Beaver. They will be evaluated on scholastics, interview, talent, fitness, and self-expression. Moms from a nonpartisan climate science group are gearing up for summer, getting the word out to Pennsylvania families on how more frequent and extreme weather events can affect children. Danielle Smith has the details.
Last year, the U.S. experienced 28 separate weather and climate disasters, including a wildfire in Hawaii, tornado outbreaks, and major flooding events. Tracy Holloway teaches energy policy at the University of Wisconsin at Madison and is a member of the group Science Moms. She points out that mothers are often the decision makers for their household purchases, so doing some research can make a difference.
Climate change is a real issue, and there are real solutions. You know, when we're making big purchases, to be thinking about whether this is a purchase that's going to move things forward in the right way, whether it's an electric vehicle rather than one that uses a lot of gasoline or energy efficient dishwasher.
According to the Climate Change Impacts Assessment from the Pennsylvania DEP, rainfall in the state is expected to increase by an average of 8% annually, with winter and spring seeing the most significant surges.
Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro will sign legislation to criminalize the misuse of a powerful animal tranquilizer called xylazine that is showing up in supplies of illicit drugs and contributing to a growing number of human overdose deaths. Shapiro received the bill Wednesday after it received approval from the State House of Representatives and the Senate in the past week. Under the bill, xylazine will be listed as a Schedule III drug under Pennsylvania's controlled substance law, formalizing an order that Shapiro issued last year when Pennsylvania joined a growing list of states that were moving to restrict access to xylazine. It will remain legal for its intended use by veterinarians.
Here's the Beaver County forecast.
A bit chilly this morning with increasing clouds throughout the day. Temperatures will be much warmer though, with a high near 79. Mostly cloudy tonight, will drop down to a low of 59. Showers and thunderstorms expected off and on tomorrow. We'll see a high of 72. Mostly cloudy on Wednesday with a chance of showers and thunderstorms through the early part of the day. Expect temperatures in the low 70s and lots of sunshine in the forecast for Thursday. A high of 77 is expected. I'm Lisa Marie with your Beaver County weather.
That's a look at the news for now. I'm Curtis Walsh on 99.3 FM and AM 1230 WBVP, also streaming live around the world at
Talk about what's happening in Beaver County or around the world on Teleforum. 724-843-1888. 724-774-1888. It's Teleforum with Eddie Crow.
First hour of Teleforum today, thank goodness, because sometimes you need to ease in on a Monday, and that's what we're doing. We're talking about something positive. The Beaver Falls Car Cruise is coming up. Mark Peterson is in the room with me. Sam Florida is in the room with me. And before I forget, Sam, and this came up briefly last half hour, the volunteers and the board, that's wonderful. Without sponsors, the volunteers and the board aren't going to get it done. Talk a little bit about your sponsors, because without them, we're not talking about this.
Like I mentioned earlier, Steve Peterson from Ron Lewis came into my car club and got me involved in 17. And we really want to thank Ron Lewis for those years and the Happy Days guys that preceded us. As of present, Deal Automotive has moved into Beaver Falls, and we have their representative, Perry Wayne, and he's been at every meeting and very cooperative. And they're probably our biggest sponsor for this year. We have Duquesne Light that's sponsoring us this year. They're going to have an electric EV vehicle there. And we have Valvoline Oil from the Valley. That used to be in Freedom. They're a big presence. Also, we have, I have to make mention, Michelle McNeely and her husband, Brian, has a towing business, and Michelle is leading the committee and leading the whole car cruise this year. It used to be Steve Peterson, but he has recently left us. We hope to see him, and Tom Gargaro, by the way, and his wife Judith, which have been with us in the past. We hope to see them at the cruise also.
That's another Cadillac guy, isn't it?
Yeah,
Very good.
He's on his shirt right here, his car's right there. And we have Always Safe too. They're a traffic control business, and they're new for us this year. And they're going to have lit signs on both ends of town here, along with the banners advertising the cruise here on June 8th. And he's going to have 4 or 5 hot rods. He's a hot rod guy, actually. And his people will be controlling traffic for us, along with the police department. And we have some added police and some video stuff to make it a safe day in Beaver Falls.
Do you know how many people show up? Can you get a good head count? Because I've seen it from above. There's thousands of people moving back and forth all day long.
You know, every cruise, everybody says they got the biggest and the best. Well, and I'm involved in most of these in Beaver County, and I've counted 1,100 cars on an average parked on the street, on the main street, and people, no idea. I mean, it's got to be 3 or 4 times that amount in people, and most of these cars have more than one person in them, a man and wife usually, some children usually with them also, but I'd say on average over 1,000 to 12. Well, we give about 1,500 dash plaques to the cars. So maybe the number's a little higher than that. So we do give 1,500 dash plaques out. That's a little memento we give to the cruisers when they come in.
Well, Eddie, if we have, let's say we have 1,500 cars there,
right.
Using the knowledge that we already have that, you know, one out of 5 is a car owner. Well, that means we have somewhere around, you know, my math was never super strong, but 7,500, 8,000 people there?
You're flirting with 10 grand for sure.
Yeah, probably. And Sam brought up a good point. The cars that we counted, those are the ones in the main drag, and there are cars all over town. Plus, we run out of dash plaques.
Yeah.
So it's likely that the car count is closer to 2,000. But nonetheless, if you want to go with a good conservative number, 7,500, 8,000.
Go with 10,000.
10,000, yeah.
Absolutely go with 10,000, because I've seen a bunch of them, and I guarantee you you're flirting with that number.
Yeah, other than Michelle McNeely, we have a lot of good members that have been with us for a long time. We have Ronnie Ippolito, Joey Barber, Les Heyman, Gary Claymo, Doug Beck, Ben Hoffman, Jeff Hoff, and others. And forgive me if I forget any of you guys, because you've been all very helpful and greatly appreciated.
Is it too late to get signed up?
No, no, we have a couple meetings. When's the next meeting?
We have a meeting, I think, next Monday, and we are always looking for people that would like to just help, and and as far as I think, space is becoming more of the issue than time, but we probably, depending on if somebody wanted to become a vendor, sell food or something like that, and we do welcome food and automotive type vendors. There may be a spot or two left for that, but here's some fun facts, Eddie. You want some fun facts about the car cruise? So there are 19, count them, 19 outhouses. I know you're pretty astounded with that.
That sounds kind of ugly, because we only had one growing up. Who do you think you are with 19?
So years ago, we had the Marcells performed live at the Beaver Falls Car Cruise. That's going back quite a ways. In recent years, and we were all there for this, the song Amazing Grace was played on the bagpipes as part of the cruise.
I think I remember that. Wasn't Septec all bent because we wouldn't let the accordion accompany it or something?
I think there was some controversy there, yes. But people attend. Here's a fun fact that's a little more fun to tell people. People attend the cruise, I think in recent years, from 13 states in Canada.
Wow.
And this is probably the number one thing which distinguishes our cruise, the Beaver Falls Car Cruise, from others. The cruise lane itself is 1.2 miles long, 19 city blocks.
I never knew that. I saw it driving.
I mean, there
by
are other
where we
cruises,
were,
but they're in a much smaller area, like 3 or 4 blocks. And back when it started, in 1991, when a couple of gentlemen, one by the name of Rich Fubio and another one by the name of Bill Yoho, organized the first Beaver Falls Car Cruise. They were members of the Happy Days Car Club that Sam mentioned earlier. The cruise happened over at the high school, in a parking lot and in a driveway called Tiger Alley.
Yeah.
So that first year they had 75 cars parked around and those areas. By year number 2, they were out on 7th Avenue. This would have been 1992. And it lasted for 4 blocks. It went from 15th to 19th Street. And by year 3, it had morphed into what we kind of know now, in that it went the whole length of town on 7th Avenue. So it took 3 years to get it up and rolling. It continues to develop into a bigger and better, well, I don't know if it's a bigger event, but the event has become, it's a little bit more of a fun thing for everybody. I think what started out as a super great car cruise, and it still is, as far as for the car enthusiast, we've done some other things to develop it into an all-day event that everybody loves, and that means food vendors and other entertaining things and prize giveaways and so on and so forth.
The 33rd annual Beaver Falls Car Cruise happens coming up Saturday, June 8th. How aware do you think people are in Beaver County that this is a special thing with this car cruise? And Sam, you were talking about all the car cruises. That's not the norm in most parts of the country. Do you think people are really aware that we have something special with what we do with these cars on the weekends?
Absolutely, and now with the internet, there's websites, people are really aware. It used to be everything was on paper, and you were scrounging around to get a copy of it. Now you just punch into your laptop or your computer at home or your smartphone, and you can find out where these are happening, and that's why the turnouts, I think, are so good, better than years past.
There does seem to be a phenomenon in our area where the interest level is quite high amongst car enthusiasts and car cruises in general. The car cruise history in Western Pennsylvania is super rich.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I did a little research, and car shows go all the way back to the 60s and 70s, and there were hot rod and custom shows at the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh for many, many years. And there were car shows in Beaver County, and in Beaver in particular, that predated the car cruises. But we think a couple of the first car cruises were actually happened with your radio station here. In 1985, there were a couple of radio station live broadcasts and car cruises. One of them happened at Hank's Frozen Custard on Junction Stretch there in New Brighton.
Of course.
And another one that became, a very much a favorite place was down at Saffron's Inn, which was on Duss Avenue in Ambridge. So that was around 1986.
Mm-hmm.
That was also the same year that Newcastle started their big weekend back to the 50s car cruise event, which that was a huge event. And the Beaver Falls car cruise started a little bit later, in around 1991.
Can I ask you guys a car question? Not a car cruise question, just a car. This has been eating at me, and you're both way more into this than I could ever be, and I just want your opinion. Electric vehicles. Sam's head kind of tilted up for a second when I said that. You're looking at this old school with the car cruise. What is the old school thought about the new school that we're seeing? It hit me with the first time I saw an electric Mustang. I didn't know what to think of that.
Personally, I think let's try it. It's what got us on the moon, right? Let's try it. But the logistics and cost and the environmental impact, that needs to all be looked at. And hydrogen, too. I mean,
thank you. That's the one.
I mean, it's all great things to look at. And if it works, it works. If it don't, it don't. Right? We'll find out. We'll find out.
Either work or not.
Oh, and back to Mark. Maybe the people will be interested in the difference between a cruise and a show.
Yeah, they are not the same. You know, the show is something that people would enter a car in, and then there would be judging, and then prizes award, trophies, different eras, different types of vehicles, and different years. So you might win first best of show or first in my class.
Like a dog show, but carbureted.
Best interior, best paint. Go on and on if you want. Yeah. But they're judged. Shows are judged, and cruises are just a free-for-all. Come and park your car, and everybody walks around and looks.
Who would be a judge? Would it be somebody that builds cars, somebody that's been around the industry?
You would hope. I mean, a lot of times it's political. It's the
Wait, you're saying somebody's cousin?
It's like us, the people that raise the money and put on the show, hopefully they're qualified people, but not always. Not always.
How long does it take to realize that's somebody's cousin up there and they don't know what they're talking about?
That's a good question, though, and I really don't know the answer to this. There might be qualifications or training or to be. I know that there are qualifications that one can become a car appraiser.
Okay.
So,
well, let's sort
there
it out.
might be, car judging may be a little bit more sophisticated than what we think, too.
Let's sort it out right now. Sam Florida and Mark Peterson are my guests. We're talking about the Beaver Falls car cruise that's coming up on June 8th. If you said, here's the list of rules before you can be a judge at a show, because I know you're involved in the cruise, obviously, but you've been around some shows. What should the rules be, besides being somebody's cousin?
If you wanted to be a car show.
If you want to be a respected judge, how long should you have a background in the industry? Should you be in the industry? Should you have a history of builds yourself?
Oh, sure. I would think somehow or another this person has got to know what a quote-unquote good one looks like. You know what I mean?
What does a good one look like?
Well, then that comes down to experience.
Okay.
So if you're a recent person that just got into any industry, if you just acquired a whatever it might be, a piece of machinery. Well, until you see other ones, that one is the best one you've ever seen.
Oh, very good point.
So
you have no reference point.
Yeah, I would think that the number one qualification would be years of experience, seeing what they all look like, and building this database of knowledge.
And what they can look like, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Right. When we were young and in high school, I one of the cars I had was I think it was a 1975 Mercury Montego, powder blue, Sam, for your favorite color. At the time, I thought that car was the greatest car ever to roam the surface of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason why was it was my first car. It was one of one. And over the course of time, every car I got after that was bigger and better, had less rust on it, and probably ran better and longer. But and now there are really sophisticated cars and very nice cars.
As car guys, how annoyed are you that you can't buy a new vehicle that's not basically a supercomputer GPS unit?
I'm pretty upset about it.
Okay.
In fact, my next vehicle is going to be pre-1972.
Okay, why 72?
Before the emissions come in and
the Cali rules, right?
74, and I can take a Maxwell House coffee can with gasoline and a hose and a wire, and a battery, and I can make that vehicle run pre-72. I don't need a computer. I don't need analyzers. It's not a lunar landing craft. It's an automobile. Mm-hmm. I mean, and it's perfectly safe.
So run down the list again. What do you need to steal a car?
No.
Bucket of gas?
No. You can get one of those cars. I've been in a junkyard. I've been laying there for 10 years sometimes, and get those cars running. I got a derrick for cutting coal, big as 5 times this room, and it was laying for 20 years, a diesel piece of equipment, no computer. There was trees a foot in diameter growing up through this vehicle. We cut the trees out of it, we dropped the radiators in it, put fluids in it, put batteries in it, and fired it up.
And it just rolled over with the new juice like it
went overseas. My friend, third generation coal miners, sold 2 of them. They went overseas. They're still working probably in Venezuela. I mean, it's the same with locomotives. That's my background. I worked at the diesel shop down there in Conway on locomotives. And when I retired 10 years ago, there was a lot of computers, a lot of headaches.
Can't fix a computer. You gotta sit there until it's fixed. Well, when you see a new car go by and it's got the screen, forget the paranoia of being trackable. Does that break your heart a little bit, or does that feel like it's taken away from your skill set that you had when you were working?
I don't need those creature comforts. If you're a person that really wants that stuff, the new cars are great. A friend of mine works in a body shop. The electric window. We used to have to crank the windows.
Yeah.
Now they're almost entirely electric. Well, to reinstall that little electric motor, it used to be you just plugged it in and there was a switch up and down. Now it's computerized. You have to reconfigure that new window motor. You can't just put it in and plug it. You got to press the brake, turn the key on and off 3 times, do the hokey pokey, and to get the window to work.
Juggle oranges while standing on one foot and it turns over.
A friend of mine's wife's Lexus, the door's ajar. Mm-hmm. The door's open, the car won't start.
What?
Yeah, maybe your new vehicle. I don't know what you're driving at.
I'm driving a 2007 Toyota Tacoma with 409,000 miles.
It's a beautiful truck, by the way.
It's a great safety feeture, this door being open. You can't start the car. But what happens when that little switch in that door goes bad and you're trying to figure out, is my battery dead? Is one of my trunks open? My foot's not on the brake? It's crazy.
Well, and then what do? You get a hold of tech support somewhere to try and walk you through it. It's taking all the mechanical skill set away from you because there's no mechanical skill set to plug it in a computer.
And then you're not going to fix it yourself. And the labor rates in this country, I mean, I think $120 an hour is the average.
That's the shop I was just at. It's $145 an hour.
There you have it.
And it's a domestic shop.
Yeah. I'm a working guy. That's a lot of jack. That's a lot of money.
So,
we just went into car.
So for the purpose of dialogue, for the purpose of having debate, I like the traditional carbureted cars, and the modern computer vehicles. And to me, Eddie, it is simply amazing that a modern car that weighs close to 5,000 pounds can generate 700 horsepower, some of the models, and reach speeds of 208 miles an hour, factory off of the assembly line, and yet get 23 miles a gallon. That's the modern technology has its advantages and it does great things, but it's not the same thing. And I know that Sam brings up great points in that it's like an antique radio. We used to have a lot of antique radios here in the lobby at the radio station.
Yeah.
Well, they had tubes that would glow red.
Absolutely.
And they would make a certain smell, and they would make static. Well, that is not the same thing as your modern, dashboard radio in your car.
Nope.
People like both, but they do it differently.
Mark Peterson and Sam Florida are my guests. The Beaver Falls Car Cruise is coming up. That got Sam a little fired up just for a second, talking about that technology. I'm glad I brought that up. My uncle used to say, if you can't fix it with a wrench, you don't want it. A wrench and a screwdriver.
Eddie, I remember you saying this once before. This is a true Eddie Crow quote. He said, my dad once said, if you can't throw a handful of quarters down through the open hood of a car and all of them hit the ground, then it's
you got too much going on.
You don't need all that.
That was an adage from my Uncle Frankie, and he gets Uncle Frankie.
I was waiting for it to have a handful of quarters at one point in time so I could do that.
When Frankie gets a handful of quarters, he trades in a car for another car. He gets a car every 6 months. Linda, his wife, don't care for it. What should I ask you? I love talking to you two. Mark Peterson and Sam Florida. The event is 33rd Annual Car Cruise, and it's June 8th. What did I not ask you that I should have asked you?
It's arrival time. So Sam's right. We have a lot of parking spaces, 1,100 or so, I think, to be exact, in that 1.2 miles. But believe it or not, you need to get there about 6 o'clock.
No lie.
Yeah. Sam and his crew, they're instrumental that one of the sides of 7th Avenue is parallel parking, I guess. So those cars need to be turned around for the back end parking.
For the show.
And the other side is already set up. That happens, Sam, I think at about 9 or 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock. So there's that happens about 9. But most of the cars that are going to get those spots, they're already sitting there on the avenue. So arrive early on June 8th for the Beaver Falls Car Cruise. The official hours are 11 to 7.
Official, but everybody shows up early.
Now, if I may, let me promote the radio station here.
Mm-hmm.
The music, the broadcast from WBVP in 99.3 is shared over 16 800-watt speakers that go throughout town.
So we're going to annoy people the whole length of the road.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, right on.
And then and that's a great thing. People hear the same music everywhere they go. It's not a different DJ or speaker on every corner.
Well, I'll see you there.
We look forward to it.
All right.
Thanks for having us.
Mark Peterson and Sam Florida, the Beaver Falls Car Cruise. I'm geeked, especially with all the food.
Beaver County Transit Authority connects